So let's just say that in today's world, if you were a beginning investor, what things would you look at to invest in today? If you had never done it before, this was going to be your first one. What things would you look at?
Okay. I prefer single family homes because it's the least amount of money out of my pocket. But the thing that I would really encourage somebody to do if you're new and you're looking to do something today is to get with a local real estate investor group that's close to you. And there's lots of different ways to connect. So, while I was struggling for like 10 to 12 years trying to figure it out on my own, the minute I joined a real estate group, and I joined a free one, there's plenty of free ones out there, I met people who were doing what I was doing, but they were doing it better, much better. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. How did you do that? How did you find that property? Where'd you get a contractor from? I was just like, you're doing what I'm doing, but I'm just not doing it as good as you are. So if there's a platform for you close by to meet in person, that's what I would recommend for you. Meetup.com, Eventbrite, even Facebook has some groups, Bigger Pockets. These are all resources where some of these places will publicize themselves. But like, let's say if I'm in the rural part of America and I don't have a meeting that's close to me, then there's hundreds of Facebook groups that we can join, and they'll have thousands of members in my state. Like I live in Texas. You can just go Facebook and say Texas real estate groups, and there'll be lots of pages that come up, and you can interact with other investors. You can call them. People call me out of the blue all the time. And a lot of us, we know the score. Nobody's there. So usually we're willing to help a little bit. We may not be able to give you hours out of a day, but we might give you a few minutes or two.
Right. You just mentioned that you prefer or you like, what do you call it? One family home?
Single family.
Single family. What are the other options? And have you done investments in other settings that is not a single family home?
Oh, yeah, there's so many options, Pedro. You've got multifamily, you've got commercial. I mean, I have friends who do RV parks, storage buildings. So there's all sorts of different platforms that you can get involved in. I prefer single family homes because I started out with no money. So, I mean, everybody's in a different place, right? Everybody's different. But if you have very little money to no money, you can still do single family investing. Is it possible for you to do 2 units like a duplex or a 3-unit, 4-unit? It is in some markets, but in my market, there just aren't any multifamily because in Texas, there's so much land. There's no need to build multifamily. When I used to live in New York City, everything was a triplex because the land there was a $1 billion piece of sliver of land. So I had to put 3 units on it there as a builder. So each market is a little different. Here, single family homes, those are plentiful and it's low money out of pocket. But there's certainly other platforms that you can get involved in.
Going back to that initial property, the very first one that you invested in.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about, do you still have it? Do you still own it? And then tell us a little bit about when you talk about long term. What does that mean in terms of years? How long should you hold up to a property?
Yes. Okay. I want everybody to, if you're going to analyze a property, 5 years. I want you to look at it for 5 years. Yep. Because 5 years gives me enough time for the property to appreciate. Even on that really crazy home that I purchased in 2008, the 15-year appreciation average. So even though when it plummeted, it came back up, my 15-year average is 5%. So I use still to this day, 5% appreciation for 5 years. And then you can use an amortization schedule to see where your loan will be in 5 years. Usually at the end of 5 years, we have $100,000 of equity and sometimes more, depending on the price point, depending on the property type. But I focus on 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. That first home that I purchased, I sold to another investor who, get this, he did a cash out purchase. His loan was a cash out purchase. Can't do that anymore, but it was crazy. I still communicate with him. He still owns it to this day, but it was a different state. Like it was in Florida, and now I live in Texas. So I sold it several years ago. Okay. 5 years though. That's the number, 5.
How about the the years of the property. When you look at investing in properties, should they be new properties, or I mean, does it matter how what year were they built on, or I mean, do you look at that at all or no?
Some of this is what's in your ability. So one of my early properties, Pedro, I bought for $7,000, $7,000. Guess what year it was built? I have no idea. To this day, I don't know what year it was built because that's all the money I had. That's all the ability that I had to do was a $7,000 home. And this is me scratching and clawing, trying to figure it out still, right? I mean, I look back at that home. All right, I made some mistakes, but I still made money on that property. But if I had an idea, if I want to focus on something, yes, I would encourage you, if you have the ability to do so, a post-1976 home that avoids all lead paint. If it's after 1976, a lot of building codes changed in the late 70s. So after 1976, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. In your city, I want you to focus on below the median price of homes. So if the median price in your city is $350,000, you are not to exceed $350,000. I mean, you can do what you want, but I will smoke a $500,000 home with two $250,000 homes in every market in the country. The higher price points, the less your renter pool. Most of the people in the higher price points can afford to buy. I want to focus on people who can rent. If it's a lower valued home, people are willing to pay more. The competition is fiercer. I profit better. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's not all about profit. There's a lack of homes to rent from in those areas. So in some way, I'm taking a challenged property that's in a state of complete disrepair, fixing up, making it nice. So we are providing some type of a service, but people are willing to pay for that service. 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes, below your median price point after 1976, if it's within your ability to do so.
You referred to a potential mistake that you probably made in one of your investment. What are those challenges that investors usually run into when investing?
Well, a lot of it is there's no school here for us to learn from, all right? And even if you think about your school, did your school really tell you everything you needed to know about living a life? Not really. You have to go out there and do it. And since I'm doing it on my own and trying to figure out on the way, if I make a mistake, it can really set me back mentally and financially too. So if it does set me back financially, will I ever do it again? And the answer should be yes. Do not get me wrong. I don't want you to make any mistakes, but you will. And you're going to have to be okay with that and continue pressing. Think about all the business owners, all the entrepreneurs, every sports star. We can think of endless examples. They have all made mistakes and been very successful. You will too. So if you make a mistake when it happens, I want you to address it in a business-like manner. Try your best to set your emotions aside and make a very concentrated effort to get back on track. You will be successful in this industry. I'll tell you one quick stat, just so you know how challenging this can be sometimes. The amount of people in America that own two homes, is just 4%. Only 4% of Americans own two. That's it.
Has that percentage been increasing in the last 10 years, you would say, or no?
It has not. So the biggest challenge that the housing market is showing, it's becoming harder to buy homes. It's harder to afford homes. One of the studies that the Federal Reserve last year did, the average homeowner is worth about $250,000 because of the equity that's in their home. Over years, it's growing in equity. The average renter paid $6,000. They're worth $6,000. It's oppressive, especially when the economy starts doing this. Like the downward pressure that's on people who are making a little bit of money, it gets harder and harder, and that's exactly what's happening with the housing market over the past 10 years. It is becoming harder to purchase homes.